The rain came down in relentless sheets that night, turning the quiet street into a river of reflections and shadows. Officer Daniel Reyes had already worked a double shift, his boots heavy with exhaustion as he sat in his patrol car beneath a flickering streetlight. He was about to radio in and call it a night when he heard it, soft at first, almost swallowed by the storm. A sound that didn't belong to the rain or the wind. It was a cry. Thin, desperate, alive. He opened the car door, and the cold rain hit his face as a small, soaked shape emerged from beneath a parked car. A cat, trembling, eyes wide with something that looked like fear, but also urgency. The cat didn't run. Instead, it looked straight at him and let out another cry, louder this time, as if begging him to follow. Daniel crouched down, rain soaking through his uniform, and extended his hand. "Hey there, buddy," he whispered, half expecting the cat to bolt. But it didn't. The cat took a few shaky steps, then turned its head, looking back at Daniel as if to say, "Come on." Something in Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen a lot in his years on the force. Accidents, loss, anger. But this felt different. This felt intentional. The cat moved a few feet away, then stopped and cried again. Daniel stood up, heart beating faster now, and followed. The cat led him down an alley behind an old apartment complex, water pooling around broken pavement and trash bins. The smell of wet concrete and rust filled the air. The cat kept glancing back, making sure Daniel was still there, its soaked fur clinging to his small frame. Finally, it stopped near a pile of discarded cardboard and debris pressed against a chain-link fence. The cat let out a long, piercing cry and began pawing frantically at the ground. Daniel's breath caught. He pushed the debris aside and froze. There, barely visible beneath the rain-soaked cardboard, was a tiny hand. For a split second, his mind refused to process what his eyes were seeing. Then, instinct took over. He dropped to his knees, ripping away the soggy layers to reveal a newborn baby wrapped in a thin, soaked blanket. The baby's skin was pale, lips tinged blue, chest rising in shallow, uneven breaths. Alive, but barely. "Dispatch, I need medical backup immediately," Daniel shouted into his radio, his voice cracking despite years of training. He scooped the baby into his arms, shielding the tiny body from the rain with his jacket. The baby whimpered weakly, and Daniel felt his throat tighten. "You're okay," he whispered, though he wasn't sure who he was trying to convince. The cat sat nearby, rain dripping from its whiskers, eyes locked onto the baby. It didn't move. It didn't run. It simply watched, as if its job wasn't done yet. Within minutes, the alley filled with flashing lights. Paramedics rushed in, gently taking the baby from Daniel's arms and wrapping the child in warm blankets. One of them looked up at Daniel, eyes wide. "Another 10 minutes out here, and—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. As the ambulance doors closed and sped away, Daniel finally noticed his hand shaking. The rain had softened to a drizzle, but the weight of what had just happened pressed heavily on his chest. He looked down, and there was the cat still sitting there, soaked and silent. "You did this," Daniel said softly, kneeling again. "You saved a life." The cat blinked slowly, then let out a quiet meow. News of the rescue spread quickly. A newborn abandoned in the rain, a patrol officer following a cat's cries, a life saved by minutes. By morning, the story was everywhere, shared across screens, whispered in coffee shops, replayed on morning news shows. People shook their heads in disbelief. Some cried, some smiled. Many asked the same question: what kind of person could leave a baby like that? But another question quietly followed: what kind of heart does it take for an animal to beg for help for a human child? The baby survived. Doctors said it was a miracle. Mild hypothermia, dehydration, but no permanent damage. A fighting spirit, they said. Daniel visited the hospital the next day, standing awkwardly outside the neonatal unit, unsure if he belonged there. A nurse smiled and waved him in. "Someone's been asking for you," she said gently. He stepped up to the incubator and felt something inside him soften. The baby slept peacefully now, tiny fingers curled into fists. Daniel felt a lump rise in his throat. He had rescued people before, but this felt personal, life-changing. "What about the cat?" a nurse asked casually. Daniel paused. "I don't know," he admitted. "I left him in the alley. That didn't sit right with him." That evening, after his shift, Daniel returned to the alley. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and clean. He searched under cars, behind bins, calling softly. Just when doubt crept in, he heard a familiar meow. The cat emerged, dry this time, eyes bright. Daniel smiled. There you are. He took the cat home that night. He named her Hope. In the weeks that followed, the story continued to ripple outward. Strangers sent letters to the police station, donations poured into local shelters, people hugged their children a little tighter. The baby, temporarily named Rain by the nurses, was placed in foster care while authorities searched for relatives. Daniel followed every update, each one pulling him deeper into a connection he couldn't explain. Hope adjusted quickly to her new home. She slept curled at Daniel's feet, followed him from room to room, and watched the rain from the window with quiet intensity. Sometimes Daniel caught her staring at him in a way that felt knowing, as if she understood more than she let on. Months passed. Rain grew stronger, healthier. Smiles came easily now. And when the day arrived that Rain needed a permanent home, Daniel didn't hesitate. He filled out the paperwork, with trembling hands, heart pounding louder than any siren he had ever chased. The day. He brought Rain home. Hope sat by the door, tail flicking slowly. As Daniel carried the baby inside, Hope approached, sniffed gently, and then sat down beside them. Calm, content, complete. That night, as Daniel rocked Rain to sleep while rain tapped softly against the windows, he felt something shift inside him. The world was still messy, still unfair, still capable of cruelty beyond understanding. But it was also capable of miracles, of quiet acts of courage, of kindness that didn't ask for recognition. A cat had begged for help in the rain, and because one person listened, a life was saved. Sometimes hope doesn't arrive with flashing lights or loud promises. Sometimes it comes soaked and shivering, crying softly in the dark, waiting for someone to care enough to follow. And when we do, everything can change.